Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to today's wellness webinar, Millionaire Morning Routine. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining in. I would also like to introduce our speaker for today, Savitha Nanjappa, who is coming and going to speak for us for the next 1.5 hours and also clear any doubts you may have post session. And also, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Supreet Kaur, who's come here to make a very important announcement about the sessions and also some uh, wellness offerings that we're doing as part of our program. So, let me start the session by introducing our speaker today, and then we move on to the announcement. Savitha is an award-winning business coach, founder of global coaching platform Success with Savitha, podcast host, international speaker, contributor at Forbes, a member of Forbes Coaches Council, an international certified coach. She has coached over 150 plus businesses, 3,000 plus clients, and has 17 plus years of corporate India, having worked with brands like Airtel, ICICI Prudential, Tata Docomo, Novo Nordisk in sales, marketing, and customer experience. She has been featured in ABC, Fox, CBS, Media Bulletin, and more. She speaks on stage recently at the Women's Economic Forum, Egypt in March 2020. Since launching her business podcast in March 2021, so far it has grown to an audience of 177,000 plus, and it features inspirational leaders, entrepreneurs, and creators in the guest interviews. Thank you, Savitha, for joining us this afternoon and showing your interest in taking a session for us and all our clients. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. And it's my pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to this session.
And before we move on to the session, Savitha, I would request 5 minutes so that my colleague, Dr. Supreet, can come in and speak a few words about our offerings.
Of course.
Thank you, Shiva. Thanks a lot. And thank you, Savitha. We are so happy to have you here today and looking forward to your session.
Thank you.
So to all our participants that have joined the session, apart from conducting weekly sessions for you all, we have other wellness offerings also for you. So we really want you to take part in those wellness offerings, go through them, give us the feedback and let us know how it is. I'll quickly share my screen to let you all know what we do. So here is it. We provide online doctor consultations, nutritional consultations. We also provide psychological support when it's needed, in times of stress or other issues. Apart from that, we provide parenting consultations also for parents who struggle with managing kids or teenagers or, toddlers. We provide expert consultations there also. We also provide financial consultations to all the employees, guiding them how to manage their finances, how to, do savings, how to plan for retirements. We also have health checkups, blood checkups, dental checkups, and vision checkups. So if you want to, have a look and feel of all this, please log into your MySwish portal, log into Total Health and Employee Assistance, give it a shot and let us know how you like our services. And that's it from my side. Thank you, Shiva. Thank you, Savitha. Over to you now. Looking forward to your session.
Thank you, Supreet. Thank you so much for joining in. So we now open the floor to Savitha to take up and start the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to get started. So here are some things to keep in mind for the audience here. First of all, thank you for being here this afternoon with me. Usually 3 p.m. onwards is not really a great time for most workshop hosts because we know that everyone's going to be like, okay, get it done with. But I'm here to tell you that it's going to be, I want you to engage with me in the chat. I want you to ask questions in the Q&A round. And I also want you to know I'm not here to preach. I'm going to share with you everything about what the Millionaire Morning Routine is and why it's called that. But also I'm going to share with you practices, best practices that you can pick up and apply to your life. Every life is different. So you've got to be, everybody's life is different. Everybody's life stage is different. So you need to be able to find the design that works for you. So keep an open mind. and we'll get started with my session for today. So again, welcome to each one of you. I'm going to go fast sometimes. So if you feel like I'm going too fast, feel free to share a message in the chat box. Sometimes when I toggle between the chat box and the presentation, you'll find that this black box comes up. So I may ask Shiva to help me sometimes. But with that, settle in, get comfortable, center into our session today. This is your time. This is time for you. This is time for you to take for yourself. Every day we are giving to everyone around us, to our families, to our jobs, to our friends. And we rarely take time for ourselves. And so this is time for you. Take what you can, and then we'll see how you're able to elevate your own life. Okay, so with that, take a deep breath, grab a pen and paper, okay, and settle in. Shiva has already done such a wonderful introduction, so I'm going to skip that. And now that we've got you all relaxing, settling into the session, and you've got your favorite, you can capture on your device, maybe you've got it on your notebook. This is what I want to start with, okay? Each day, you must choose. Everything is a choice, life is a choice. So each day you must choose the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And the pain of regret can be about lost time, lost energy, lost efforts. So you really got to decide, it's in your hands. So I want to start with this, and I want you to remember this as we go through today's session. And I want you to choose at the end of the session, what is that one thing that you're going to be implementing in your life? But we always start with what the status quo is today. So I want you to share with me in the chat box, how do you rate your current mornings? And I'm not saying morning routine, but from the time you wake up till the time you sit down to work, how do you rate that on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being fantastic, and of course, 1 being the other end of the spectrum. What would you rate yourself? I'd like to see it in the chat box. Be honest and no judgment. Okay. I'm seeing the responses come in. 5s, a lot of 7s, some 3s. Okay. Keep those responses coming in. 8.3 or 8.30? Okay. So I'm not asking you what time you wake up. I'm only asking you to rate how your morning routine is. What happens in the morning? How do you feel about it? Do you feel good about it? Do you feel like it's rushed? I need more time. Do you feel overwhelmed? Or do you feel like, hey, everything's going great? So let me tell you, those who are rating 7 and above, you just need to get more consistent maybe and ask yourself the questions that will take you from 7 to an 8 to a 9. What can be the next level experience for you? Those who are rating yourselves below 7, it's not that you have a terrible routine, but it's just that there's so much room for improvement. There's so much more that probably you want to do, but you may not have planned it well, so you're not able to do it. Okay. Now, my next question for you, all the swimming I can see, I'm seeing the messages. What is your number one struggle or challenge in the mornings? What is your number one struggle or challenge in the mornings? Waking up, okay. Most popular. All over the world, we are joined by our challenges. We are unified by our challenges. Waking up in the morning is one for sure. Your struggle is getting some tea to start off. Do regular, finding a peaceful place. Okay. Keep them coming. I want to know, and we'll see how we can address some of this. You don't feel like talking, but do people around you want you to speak? Yes, we say that your morning routine begins when you wake up. We are not saying you have to wake up at 5 a.m. There's a difference. Okay, so I'm seeing all the responses. Thank you for sharing it. Keep them coming. Um, this is common. So everything that you're seeing in the chat box is something that comes up no matter which group, no matter which demographic. And I've done these sessions quite a few places around the world. And it's the same challenge, right? Everybody struggles with either waking up or feeling rushed or, dealing with what their next goals are. And so first thing that I want to tell you is you're not alone. Okay, this is something that's not just something that you want to work on, you want to improve on, but not able to do it. So to all those people who sometimes beat yourselves up about being lazy, about not being able to wake up, stop doing that. Okay, but instead ask the better question. What is it? What is that one thing that you can do which will help you wake up 10 minutes earlier? And I know that when we talk morning routines, everybody thinks it's waking up at 5 a.m. Now, if you can wake up at 5 a.m., that's fantastic, right? Obviously. But if you can't, and maybe your morning routine begins at 6 a.m., your morning begins at 7 a.m., what you do after you wake up, that's where we say, are these routines, habits, rituals, and practices that will set you up for success? So let's move on and talk about why millionaire morning routine, right? Simply put, most successful people need to have those routines, habits in place. You don't see too many people who are able to, get out of bed, waltz into work much later, not get a few things done, and build billion-dollar businesses. Okay, and we are not talking about average success. Everybody wants amazing rock star businesses, rock star success, right? Average is happening every day, but what you want is to elevate it to a level where you're in the top 5% and not in the 96%. So if you could wake up at 5, great. If you can't, what you do after you wake up is what the morning routine is about. And early bird gets the I think what the grain, that's what they say. So that's why we say millionaire. Most people who reach a certain level of success have you won't imagine Jeff Bezos waking up at 12, answering his mails at 5 in the evening, winding up at 7 o'clock, maybe sleeping on the weekends, maybe not, because there's so much happening, right? Complexity happens as your business grows. With that, I'm going to come back into the chat. I know some of you have shared your answers in there. I'm going to come back to the chat. Now, here's a scenario for you. This is scenario 1. Mr. X wakes up. It could be Miss X, so it does not matter. Wakes up after snoozing the alarm after 5 times. Checks his phone, check your phone maybe, go to the bathroom with your phone, check the news, has breakfast, gets ready, heads to work, gets stuck in traffic. Or if you're working from home, it's a far slower morning. Maybe he has a hybrid model, okay? Realizes forgotten something, completes a day full of meetings, emails, is exhausted by evening when he heads back home, catches up on social media again, maybe watches TV, maybe hangs out with family, goes to bed around 11 p.m. with the phone again in his hand. What is your advice? My question for you is, for a person in this scenario, what is your advice? I'd like to see in the chat box. Oh, one word advice. What would you say to this person? Let's see that advice. Okay. Limit the use of the phone. Okay. Install gratitude app. I like this. Amazing. Look at all of you. I mean, great responses. You all know what you need to do. My point being, you all know what is that one thing this person needs to be doing. Maybe one thing, maybe many things. Okay. Okay, great. We all have an opinion and we all know what we would recommend to this person, right? Now let's look at the second scenario. Mr. Y, okay, wakes up at 6 a.m. naturally without an alarm. Sorry, there's a typo. I am dyslexic sometimes, so I miss words, but without an alarm, but also has an alarm because that's the time that he wakes up, but just in case he doesn't, the alarm also goes off. Takes some time for himself, heads out to their workout, comes back, gets ready for the day, has a healthy breakfast, has a schedule, has a calendar, eats a light, healthy lunch, has a hard stop on work for the day, meaning he has has boundaries, heads back home to catch up with family, and yes, social media, we can't completely get rid of social media or the phone, and has other pursuits that he may be interested in, has an early dinner because he has to wake up at 6 a.m., right? And shuts off his phone an hour before bed. What do you think of this person's routine? Yeah, it's perfect. Too good to be true. Way too perfect, yes. Doesn't he have kids? Great question. We are going to be talking about that. To all the parents in here, we are going to be talking about that. Okay, so you've seen both sides of the spectrum. Now, here's the reason why I like talking about the morning routine, because I've never been a morning person. I've always felt like I'm the night owl. My creative juices flow at 6 o'clock in the evening. I'm that person when in my corporate career would have probably gone super slow during the day. And at 4 o'clock, suddenly got active, started working very hard from 4 to 6 to 7. And then all these ideas came in. So I actually ended up leaving around 8:30. Okay. I have been able to change my routine over a period of time because I needed to. And when you become a parent like I am, you are forced to. You don't really have a choice. Those who are not parents yet, you probably still have some, at least not of young babies, you probably still have an option to choose. So we've seen both scenarios, and we know that both ends of the spectrum, one looks boring, like some of you all said, but it's a good routine, right? It keeps him on track. But there's a other end of the spectrum where, this person is what? He's organizing his time badly. He's going to struggle with his energy, and he's also distracted all the time. I want to share quickly habits of some successful people, but you talk to any success, like pick anybody that you think is successful, okay, and go and speak to them and find out what's going on with their lives, okay? And I'm not talking about, like some of you said, there are a lot of night owls, they work all hours, not the ones who are in the hustle culture, who don't take time out for self-care, for rest, to recharge, to reset. But I'm talking about, in general, somebody that you think has a more balanced kind of life. So Jane Austen would wake up and immediately play the piano, make breakfast with her family, and then write. President Obama always did his exercise and weight routine first, followed by breakfast. This is the morning routines of these people. Ariana Huffington, somebody who used to work all hours of the day, barely slept, was sleep deprived so badly that one day when she was sitting at her desk working, she passed out, hit her head on the table, and it was a glass table, and cracked open her forehead. Okay, this is her. She begins each day with yoga and meditation. And Steve Jobs would ask himself, and he said this in his speech at Stanford, that he would ask himself and contemplate, if today were the last day on earth, what would I do differently? Now, of course, all our people in here may ask, when he gave that speech, he wasn't really well, so it was okay for him to ask this question. At what stage did he begin to ask this question? I'm not saying you've got to do this, but these are some of the habits of successful people. But you go online, you Google anyone, be it Oprah, be it Richard Branson, pick anybody or anyone in India that you admire, and you will find that they have certain habits and routines. Okay, now my next thing that I want to talk to you about is, I'm going to share Michael Phelps' case study, but we'll go into talking about energy before we actually go into talking about the morning routine. Okay. So Michael Phelps is the most decorated athlete in the history of Olympic Games with 28 medals, right? He also holds the record for the most Olympic medals with 23. One of his critical success factors was his routine. In his book, which is Beneath the Surface, you can get this book, he explains how he followed his routine meticulously. What breakfast he ate, how he stretched for half an hour, exactly 2 hours before his race, did 35 minutes of drills and light swimming, relaxed up to half an hour before the event, put on the racing suit, took a light swim 10 minutes before, and then got on the blocks to race. Now, his routine remained the same during every competition. Okay. The routine is not distinct from the competition. His daily routine was also similar. It is part of it. Winning the race did not start when he stepped onto the blocks. It started with his pre-competition ritual. So when you think about success, it's not only what you do in your 9 to 5. It's about your pre-ritual before you even get to your 9 to 5. How are you preparing for the day? How are you setting yourself up for success? And what are some of those routines that you need, that you think your body, your life needs for you to come best prepared for your career, for your work life? Questions so far, you can drop it. I'll come into the chat box and I will talk to you. So let's talk about this. I don't need to tell you why a morning routine is important. We all know it, right? And I don't need to convince you, because maybe some of you already know that it's important, and maybe some of you are here because you just want to say, okay, let's go see what this is about. But mostly, none of you need to be convinced. What you probably need help with is figuring out where to start, how to start, and what's that one thing that you can do, or you just want to gather all the ideas before you put together a plan. But I want you to know this is your time and this is your story, and you get to decide how and when you want to design your life. So before we start to plan a schedule, set up a goal, or start your morning routine, ask yourself this question: what is your end goal? And when I say end goal, I'm not asking what is your end goal at when you hit 90 years. I'm asking what does success look like for you? What is that visual of success, that template for success that you have in your mind? What does it look like? What I want you to do is, now we'll use that pen and paper. I want you to go into your notepad and write down what success looks like for you, your version of it. I'm going to give you a minute to do this. And you don't need to share it with me. I want you to just write it down for yourself, because a lot of us spend a lot of time at work and doing a lot of things, but we may not be spending enough time visualizing and looking at what success looks like for us. What does it look like? Is it more money? Is it living a healthy life? Is it all of the above? Just write it down. Okay. Now, what I want you to do when you finish this session and when you're doing your morning routine and journaling, I want you to spend more time getting really specific about it. Because when I ask anybody, what does success look like for you? People will say, yeah, I really want to have more time. I want to be able to do the work that I'm passionate about. I want to live on purpose. I want to create impact. How? I want to know the how and why. Why do you want to do that? Okay. You want to journal through this, you want to write this down, and you want to spend some time thinking about this. So the first step is for you to figure out what's your end goal. Okay. And if this is where you want to be, then you'll work backwards. What is your life design? So if this is what you want, and this is your template for success, and maybe all of you are already there, right? It's not like you're not successful. You all are successful. But you just want to take it to the next level. You want to improve it. And that's what growth mindset is about, because you reach a certain level, then you're like, okay, what's next? What is your life design? Okay. Are you living your life the way you want to live it by design? Or is it at this time you haven't had a chance to think some things, or you've thought of some things, you've not thought of some things? So what is your life design? I don't want you to write this down. I just want you to reflect on it. And then finally, I want you to ask yourself how you're setting yourself for success, which means the action plans that you are going to put in place when you know what the success is. And most of you already know it. And what is your intention every single day? How do you intend for this month to be? How do you intend this week to be? And how do you intend this day to be? Okay. When I mean intention, it's not a goal. Okay. Like my intention's more about how you want to feel. It's a feeling, it's an emotion, it's it's your intent. You intend to be successful, but the goals can be that I want to achieve this and this, right? So what's your intention for every single day? And this is what you should be able to do when you put together your morning routine. Now, like I said, before I go into the morning routine, I want to talk about this framework that we use in productivity. I didn't design it. It was designed by a group called Asian Efficiency, and they call it the T framework. The T framework stands T for time, E for energy, and A for attention. So when you're looking at your productivity, I want to touch upon this before we go into planning the morning routine, and you'll learn why. When you're looking at your productivity, and let's say, like, just give me your heads up in the chat box. How do you feel on a scale of 1 to 10? How do you feel your productivity is today? Yes, Abhin, I saw your post. Success changes, and it's very dynamic, right? So let me come back to this and answer this again in the Q&A. So typically, you want to set up, if you're not sure about how 10 years is going to look like, 5 years is going to look like, you know what your end goal is going to be eventually, but you plan goals for the next 12 months. And your definition of success changes with each phase and each season of your life. What you wanted at 20, you may not want at 25. What you want at 25, you may not want at 35. Okay. So for those of you who are answering, let's say a 4 or a 5 or a 6, tell me, when you think about your own productivity, where do you think you're struggling the most? Is it time management? Is it energy? Or is it your ability to focus? Is it your ability to keep your attention? For those who answered this question, who rated themselves, okay, all, okay. You need to do some deep dive, huh? Dharma. Ability to keep your attention. Procrastination. Procrastination is, okay, we'll discuss it. It's a bit of the attention and a bit of time management as well. Focus energy. Okay, great. Now, this is how you would want to identify. So keep in mind that when you're talking productivity is like this big umbrella, right? It covers so many things. But if you had to if you were able to pinpoint, you can't work on productivity overall because there are many things, right? So what you want to do is narrow down everything that you're struggling with. And then you kind of, if you want, number it and prioritize, okay, you know what, the number one thing that I'm struggling with is energy. And let me explain this to you. If you're struggling with time, it means you need to look at how you organize yourself, how you plan, how you delegate, what practices you have in place, how often you procrastinate. Those are the areas you want to look at if you're struggling with your time management. Okay, because then at some point, everything becomes urgent, everything important has already become urgent, and you're constantly maybe fighting fires, or it's all kind of last minute for you. So those who are saying time management is an issue, these are the areas you want to look at, which means you need more organizing, you need more planning, and you need more prep. Go back and look at your systems. Okay. Now, those of you who are saying, now you may have the time, I have the time, I sit down to work, but I feel drained. Okay, I feel tired, I'm exhausted, I feel hungry, I get up, I'm dehydrated. All of these things are happening. This means your energy is impacted. Now, for those of you who are struggling with energy, ask yourself, how much screen time? Ask yourself, how much sleep? What's your quality of sleep? Not even how many hours. Some people may sleep for 8 hours, some people may sleep for 6 hours, but what's the quality of your sleep? If you have, and you know, research says that if you've spent 1 hour on the phone before your bedtime, then you have interrupted sleep, or you do not have REM sleep, right? Deep sleep. So check your schedule, look at what you're doing, and find out what is impacting your energy. Maybe you're not taking care of your nutrition. Maybe you've not made time for self-care. Maybe you're not exercising enough. So these are things that you want to ask yourself. Now, for the group that feels, hey, you know what? I have time. I'm pretty successful in managing my time. I have the energy, but then you sit down to work again. Halfway into your work, you have your notifications come up, you're distracted, or others are distracting you. Now, you can be distracted by people, you can be distracted by emails, devices, and other work. Now, if you're in this group, what you want to look at is how do you reduce your distraction levels, which means where you work, how many hours of deep work are you able to do, and how often are you doing deep work and how often are you doing shallow work. What we call shallow work is maybe, looking at your emails many times, working on your emails, feeling like the day has gone past, you've been very busy, but you didn't actually get things done. Okay, so identify now in which bucket you are. Now, for the person who said it may be all of the three, it could be true, right? You are tired, so your energy is impacted, so you're trying to make up for that by, let's say, sleeping in a lot more or doing something. So then your time management is impacted, and then your attention is also impacted because there's so much going on. What you may need to do is dial it down a bit, step back a bit, take some time, evaluate your schedule. We'll take some of these questions in Q&A. Let me move on. Okay, so now that you've identified, hey, these are some of my challenges and this is what I want success to look like, this is how I intend to live every day. Okay, sure, it may be boring, but sometimes boring gets you to success. Okay, let me tell you, when it comes to the morning routine or when it comes to any goal that you have and you want to achieve, mindset plays a bigger role. Mindset is greater than action or strategy. Okay, so remember this. First, you want to fix your mindset and then put in those action steps that will help you move the needle forward on those goals that you want to get to. Okay, now that you know that mindset is so important, you want to now sit down and ask yourself, what are those things that I have when it comes to mindset? And when it comes to the morning routine. Now, that mindset be, I cannot wake up. Fixed mindset is, I cannot wake up. I've never been a morning person. It's not me. And anyway, people who wake up early are crazy, right? The growth mindset is, I'm not a morning person yet. I don't know if I'll ever be. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try waking up. For all those people who have trouble waking up, I'm going to try waking up 15 minutes early for this month. Okay, that's growth mindset. So the simple reframe is really important. How do you work on mindset? You need the reframe. And the reframe is, I'm not ready yet, or I can't do this yet, but how can I get to this? How can I get started? How can I do just 15 minutes? You have to remember, like James Clear says in Atomic Habits, you've got to make it easy for yourself. Now, if you're waking up at, let's say, 9 o'clock, okay, and you want to wake up at 5 a.m., that's a crazy stretch goal, right? You don't want to do that. So waking up at 9 a.m. and tomorrow you want to go, it's not about cold turkey, right? You want to go, if you want to make it easy on yourself, you need to make it sustainable. If you want to make it sustainable, it should be something that you're able to do, you wrap your mind around it. Because you may do 5 a.m. 2 days, and the third day you may be like, okay, I can't do this. And then you quit on it altogether. Instead of 9 a.m., your goal can be, I want to wake up at 8:45. And then if you got that down for, let's say, 10 days, you're like, okay, let me try waking up at 8:30. Okay. Now your question will be like, okay, fine, I'm convinced and I want to get started. I'm sure you're not convinced, but I'm saying you decide to get started. For all of you who are here and are like, just get to the point, tell me how to get started. Here it is. Number one, evaluate your routine. What are some things you're doing on autopilot today? Meaning, you wake up, you make tea, you get dressed, you don't really think about your day, you're not really thinking about your goals for the day or what needs to get done. I mean, generally, you know what needs to get done, but I'm talking about your end goal, what you need to get done in terms of work, career success. What are some things that you're already doing on autopilot today that you can do with a little more intentionality? So evaluate your morning routine. What I want you to do now is quickly, in your books, write down from the time you wake up till the time you start your work, what happens? Bullet point, just write down what happens. Okay. People with kids, it's going to be very different for you. Small kids, kids between the age of 5 to 10, and then you have teenagers. Can you take a moment to write down what is happening in your morning routine right now? You don't need to share it with me. It's okay. You just need to write it down for yourself. But if you want to share it, it's fine. Because I'm not going to be the person who will tell you that amazing routine or not amazing routine. My job is just to share what I know and then wake up with a smile. Nice one. So yeah, if you want to share stuff like that, I'm happy to read that. Go for a swim, return. Okay. Chandrasekhar, I think you already have a great morning routine. We'll see what else you can add to up-level it. Okay. Now that you put down what happens in the morning, the next thing is to review, right? Review the list you made in step 1 to identify anything that should not be a part of your morning ritual, like how when you wake up and grab the phone first thing in the morning, or read your emails first thing in the morning, or catch up on news. What are some things that should not be a part of your morning ritual? Things that you're doing on autopilot today are things like taking your phone and checking it first thing in the morning. That's something that's become it comes naturally to us. Right? Yeah. So, Deepika, if that's something that you do in the morning when you wake up, you need to stop and you set a timer for when you're going to start. Okay, now that you've identified what is that one thing or two things or many things that you've got to eliminate, right? Now you want to choose the ingredients for your morning ritual based on what is important to you. This is where, before you establish your morning routine, I'll share with you what we recommend when we are working with clients for the morning routine. I'm going to come back to this because, for those who are creating their morning routine, you need to look at the season in your life before you can. So what we recommend is, not everybody may have 1 hour, so don't come at me for the 1 hour. But what we recommend is if you have 1 hour in the morning to yourself, it's fantastic. Okay, if you do, start with, when you wake up, start with 5 minutes of just silence. This is for the person who said they don't like talking. Just let everybody in the house as well know that when you wake up, you need to have this. Now, when you wake up, you don't need to do this sitting at your bed, but you can decide that, hey, I'm going to brush my teeth, I'm going to grab my tea, and then I'm going to begin my morning routine, which is when you can implement this. So start with 5 minutes of silence. And this is where instead of silence, you can do a guided meditation. Okay. Now meditation are many types. We do not recommend that you chant or that you remove all thoughts from your head. In fact, what I recommend is sit down in silence and see what comes up, and it's fine. Stay with your thoughts. People hate sitting in silence. The idea of sitting in silence is tough for a lot of people. So there was this electric shock experiment that they did where people could hit a button in front of them. And the option was either sit in silence for 15 minutes, no devices, no nothing, just sit in silence, or you could hit a button in front of you, give yourself a little electric shock. It's not going to kill you, but it's going to zap you. It's going to be a little uncomfortable. Give yourself an electric shock and you could leave the experiment. And they found that 60% of men and 30% of women chose to give themselves an electric shock over sitting in silence for 15 minutes. And that's how difficult it is for our current generation. Okay, with FOMO, with distractions, with so many things happening, nobody wants to sit quietly without doing anything. And for type A's, for people who are used to always being on the go, they don't like to sit down. They're like, what's the point of sitting in silence? I could be doing something, right? So start with this. Now, during this period of silence, you could do a meditation, which could just be, deep breathing and just collecting your thoughts. Or you could also add in guided meditation to your routine. Okay. Now, guided meditation, there are many apps. I don't need to recommend, I'll share some resources, but you could use a guided meditation to do this for 5 to 10 minutes. When you're good with 5 minutes, add on extra 5 minutes, and that's how you kind of increase the time. The next thing that I recommend is open your book after this, right? Your notepad, keep a journal with you. Writing is good. Why? And let me tell you, this is because the time that it takes for you to take this thought which is in your head and write it, it takes time. So during that time, you're not only reflecting on it, you're deepening that thought. You're thinking about it a lot more, because our brains are really fast. We can think of many thoughts within a few seconds. But here, what you're doing is you're being really mindful and you're writing it down. Unless you're a very fast writer, of course. So start with affirmations. Now, here's the thing about affirmations. These are positive phrases or statements that you use. And you don't always have to use challenge negative thoughts, but I'm saying you can use affirmations which are, I'm going to have a fantastic day today. My meeting today is going to be great. That's intention setting, right? Or you can say, I'm grateful. And here's what I want to do in my gratitude list. These are the people that I'm most grateful for today. These are the emotions I'm grateful for today. These are things in my life that I'm most grateful for today. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's a cup of tea that I was able to have. Get deeper, get specific. So you can start by writing that down. And affirmations are usually statements of you're proclaiming, right? You're claiming it. You're taking up space. You're saying, I am rich, or I am lucky, or I am grateful. Now, a lot of people find this very hard. So saying it's already done, instead you can shift, because when you're saying I'm rich, you're like, no, I'm not rich. I have no money in my pocket. What are you talking? So the brain is automatically going to question it, right? So one of the things that you can do is you can say, I'm working hard every day to get rich. So that is something that your brain can comprehend, that's your rational thought process can comprehend. So there are many affirmations online. You can again see what would work for you, but every day make it a point to write those affirmations, change it for what's happening in your life. Maybe there's a, like I make an affirmation every time I'm going to start a workshop. I hope it doesn't backfire, but I hope that I'm able to deliver great value in every workshop and I enjoy it as well. So that's my affirmation. That's my intent. Once you're done with this, usually you can, this is interchangeable. You can choose to visualize or you can choose to journal. Okay. You can use visualization, and there's a guided meditation which I'll share where they walk you through visualization. They ask you to visualize what your life looks like, what does success look like, what does a successful call look like, meeting look like, client negotiation look like. So you can visualize for every part of your life. So you can take 5 minutes to do that. This is the process also that I'm sharing from Hal Elrod's Miracle Mornings as well. Every morning routine has some mix of this. Some people have meditation, workout, reading, journaling, which is what I also recommend with my clients. In that meditation, usually we recommend a specific guided meditation app, which includes affirmations and includes visualization in it. So you take the pieces that you already do, continue doing it, add on to it. Next, after your visualization exercise, like I said, it's interchangeable. You could do journaling first and then do visualization, but you come into journaling. What is journaling? Like I said, it's taking the thoughts and writing it down, which doesn't mean you sit down and start spouting nonsense every single day, okay? But if that's what's on your mind, then get it out of your mind. So give yourself a page to just rant. I hate traffic, I hated this, I hated that, fine. But that you don't want to do that in the morning because, you're already starting on a negative note. So you can start by writing your to-do list. You can start by writing your 3 important goals for the week, for the day, or 3 things that you want to do and it's really important to do. And then you can use a prompt, a question that you want to answer. Okay? I will walk you through prompts as an exercise before we close for today. So you can journal, and after that you can go into reading, and reading is so important. I don't need to tell everyone why it's important. Now, there are readers who read an actual book. You can listen as well. You have Audible apps. So it depends on what's your form of reading, but at least read for 10 to 15 to 20 minutes every single day. Now, here's the thing. Some people will tell me, hey, I'm reading before bed. But what's happening is they're actually reading fiction before bed and then they fall asleep with that. What I'm asking you to do is use a personal development book, use a book that's going to help you in some way in your work, in your life, and read that for 10 to 20 minutes every single day. And then finally, you close your morning routine with a physical exercise, right? Now, question that a lot of people ask me, do I have to do it in the same way? Can I mix it up? You can mix it up. Right? Sometimes you may do your exercise first, then sit down to do this. Or you sit down to do this, then do your exercise. You can pick out pieces that work for you and design your morning the way you want it to. For parents, there is Hal Elrod's book that you must read, Miracle Morning for Parents. You've got to work with your life. You've got to work with what's happening in your kids' routine. Now, maybe for you, your morning routine begins after your kids have taken off to school, or you're settled in your kids for the day, and then you need that 1 hour, you need that 45 minutes for yourself. So you've got to design what works for you. So that's why maybe a 5 a.m. wake up, do all of this till 6 a.m. is not going to work for you. Okay. Now, these are the elements of the morning routine. Okay. Here are some of my tips. Choose a time to wake up every day. Okay. And wake up at the same time. Now, you may say, hey, I'm going to sleep in on the weekends. I leave that to you. But ideally, on your weekdays, wake up at the same day every day. It's easier. You'll wake up automatically. You'll need the alarm a lot less. Have a set of easy breakfast options so you're not wondering what to eat right from the get-go, or like all us type A people, I'm sure you're planning your menu and your food choices well in advance. If you're not doing it, maybe you should. Create a hierarchy for getting ready. What I mean by this is, should I walk the dog first or should I get ready first? Should I get ready for work first? Should I do this? No, know that I'm going to do it in this order. Why? Decision making. You want to make lesser decisions in the morning so you don't get drained out by evening. Leave at the same time for work. If you leave out of your house, leave at the same time. But if you start work at the same time every day. This combined with everything that you do in your morning routine will kind of set you up for success. Now, you can set yourself up for success or you can set yourself up for chaos. I won't say failure, but sometimes you have days where things have not gone the way they have because of lack of planning. Now, before I go into question, I was talking about parents. I wanted to share this with you. Consider your season in life. Okay, single adults may have a more flexible schedule than parents with young children. Your work schedule and other responsibilities in your life are also contributing factors. I'm going to be traveling for work. Will I have time to do a morning routine? No, maybe not, right? So you've got to figure out how to fit it in. An empty nester whose kids have already grown up can manage probably a 2-hour morning routine, right? Whereas a working mother may be wise to plan for just a 15-minute morning ritual. So don't get in the trap of comparing your morning routine to somebody else's or everything that you're seeing on social media and say, okay, I'm not doing it right, or I could be doing more. We could all be doing more, or most of us could be doing less. So you've got to be able to identify that. And that will come when you spend some time with yourself, when you take some time for yourself, when you say, hey, even before I do anything, I've got a plan, right? And just with anything else, you've got to prepare. You can't say tomorrow, you can, and you can probably do it. But if you're going to say, tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m., I'm going to do all of this and every day, sometimes you can fall off the wagon. What's your plan for success? And so this is where I recommend starting with one thing. Why? You've all heard of the domino effect, right? So with the domino effect, let me just go ahead, right? With the domino effect, you can consistency can help you build a habit for a lifetime, and you can conquer mountains. And so I want to share with you Oprah's quote, which says, the biggest adventure you can ever take is to live the life of your dreams. And if you're not living the life of your dreams right now, ask yourself why, and what is that one thing that you can do to start getting yourself closer to that goal. When it comes to goal setting, I said, when you do your journaling, another practice that I recommend is also to plan your goals. Ideally, we like to do 12-month goals. What you can do in 1 year, you overestimate. What you can do in, just 1 second, guys, there's something coming up. Yeah. What you can do in 1 year, you overestimate. What you can do in 3 years, you underestimate. Okay. So you can get a lot done in 3 years. So have an outlook for 3 years. Okay. I'm not talking about the big goals right now. Maybe it's moving country. It's just cliched. So I'm going to use this: getting married, having a child, buying a house. They are the big ones. So you have that goal, but kind of set a timeline. During this period is when I think, in the next 5 years of my life, I'm going to do some of these things. But know what you'll do in the next 12 months, narrow it down into 90-day goals, which is your quarterly goals. And then every month, at the beginning of the month, I like to recommend a Sunday at the beginning of the month, sit down and look at what are those 3 big things that you've got to do this month, okay, which is going to help you get closer. So that's one about goal setting. Of course, we talk about goal setting from, smart goal setting, set smart goals, be specific. Of course, you've got to be specific, okay? Because let me tell you what is not a good goal. I want to be happy. How? Right? I will be happy when I do 1, 2, 3 things. What are those 3 things? So get really specific about goal setting. And every week, at the beginning of the week, write out your goals. If you do this first, and if you start getting into this habit of goal setting for your life, and it could be personal goals and professional goals at the same time, right? Then the next step for you, it's going to come very easily, is to build a schedule, to build a calendar. You live by your calendar. And what I mean by this is the best practices, the art of calendaring lies in sticking to that calendar. What we do currently, most of us tend to put only our meetings into a calendar. What you should be doing is putting everything that's happening in your life, workout time, your children's schedules, personal errands that you may have to run, deep work hours, all of this should go into your calendar. And then you can look at your calendar and then you'll look at it and say, I'm putting too much, I'm doing too much, so I'm not getting everything done. It's really important for you to look at what is your relationship to time, in the sense that some of us are very good with estimating how much time something can take. Some of us believe we can take more, so our to-do list will have 20 things on it. And some of us underestimate our we think it'll take a lot of time, but actually we get it done in 15 minutes. So you really need to observe your relationship to time. And I suggest that you start doing this week. Start observing, when you say you'll get something done, how much time does it usually take? It's okay if you don't know, but over a period of time, you will learn that these kind of tasks take so much time. So I need to schedule so much time on my calendar for this. Your deep workout. What is a deep workout? Let's say 45 minutes, an hour, that you schedule without all the people who have focus problems, without distractions, letting everybody know that you're not available, to work on one specific thing. Okay. So that should go into your calendar. We've covered a lot right now, between morning routines to productivity to looking at your time to calendaring. I would say don't go 0 to 100 in 1 minute. Start with scheduling the first half of your day, then do the next. So try to keep it in smaller, break it down into smaller bites and do it step by step. Go in a, systematic way. That's going to help you, because what you don't want is, we are all motivated and we can all go all out. You don't want to lose your motivation or fall off the wagon and need another session like this to be reminded about why you need to be planning a calendar, why you should be setting goals, and why you should have a morning routine. Okay, so start with one thing. In your morning routine, what is that one thing that you want to implement starting tomorrow or next week, from Monday? What is that one thing that you want to do? And if all those who said struggling to wake up, that's your one thing, right? All those who feel that they wake up but don't get to go to their exercise of choice, those people need to put that on the table. So that exercise could be just walking. You figure it out. What is going to be that one thing that you want to start with when it comes to your morning routine? And that can also be that I wake up and I write my goals, my to-do list for the day, and write my goals down. Or before I go to bed, I write down my to-do list. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute to write down what is your one thing that you're going to start with. I'm going to go into the chat box in the meantime. Okay, Chandrasekhar, I'm going to give you a challenge, and that is wake up and set a strong will in mind. Now make it specific. Okay, wake up, write down the time. If you're struggling to wake up, or if you're already waking up at that time, then that's not really the one thing that you should start with, because you're already doing it. Set a strong will in the mind. How? What? For what? Okay, get specific and write it down. 5-minute exercise, yes. Affirmations, Chandrasekhar, for a visa. So Nanda Kishore, I would recommend you journal in the night before you sleep. That's going to help you. Okay, I'm seeing all the responses come in. Sleep with gratitude. Will you then, Abhishek, will you make it a point to start tonight? Before you go to bed, you're going to take a minute or put it on your phone to remind you to take a minute to just think about what you're grateful for. Okay, Samar, how? What are you going to do to put yourself in a good mood? What are you going to do to get good news? Okay, you guys have got it. So I want you to start with this one thing. Do it for the next 2 weeks and then add on. Look, everything in life has a domino effect. Okay, if you decide I'm going to wake up at a certain time, you can't do it if you don't plan your evening routine, right? Which is you're going to go to sleep at a certain time so you can actually wake up, not feel exhausted or feel like, your mind is not going to tell you you've not had enough sleep, you're not going to do well today, go back to sleep. If you don't want to deal with that, everything. So you're going to have a domino effect. You need to get to exercise, then you've got to wake up. Go to bed early. So I think you've got the point. Just do it for 2 weeks and then add on the next one. Okay. Now, I want to do this exercise with you guys, but remember some things that's going to keep you, it, but I'm going to repeat it again, which is consistency, how to make it work for you. This one thing that you've chosen, just do only that consistently, okay? Focus on planning. Look at your systems. Look at what kind of systems you have in your house that you need to correct or you need to put in place so it can help you be and manage and prepare better for what is going to come in the day, okay? This is something that I do want to share with you, right? The Burj Khalifa is known all over the world, and it is, 828 meters, but its foundation is 45,000 cubic meters, okay, of concrete, weighing more than 110,000 tons were used to construct the concrete and steel foundation. Productive days, you have to think like the Burj Khalifa. What are your foundations today? What we are seeing is these are things that are the outcomes, right? Success is an outcome. But what is it standing on? So tall buildings stand on strong foundations. What you're going to do with the morning routine is building those foundations. Those rituals, those habits are going to keep you in good stead when you feel stressed, when you're going through overwhelm, when you're going through difficult challenges in life, and in the good times, right? Because it's going to keep you and your mindset in the place that it needs to be so you can keep going even when you have setbacks. So think about it as setting the right foundation for this template for success that you have visualized. And then finally, wow. Okay, I have some questions for you. Okay, number one, you've already written down what's your one thing and what you'll start doing. You've already decided what you're going to stop doing, right? Now I want you to write down when will you start? And how will you prepare for it? Let me check how we are doing on time. When will you start doing it? Write it down. We are always going to be specific. And how will you prepare for it? How are you going to be able to do it? Like, what's the preparation? Maybe it's just getting your clothes together. Maybe it's telling your whole family. Maybe it's telling others to help you get out of bed. How are you going to prepare for it? And finally, every week, I would want you to set up a system to evaluate how you're doing on this. What could be better? What you focus on, you will improve, right? So if you focus on improving your morning routine or setting up a strong morning routine, okay, you should have a process to evaluate it as well. Okay, yeah. So for those who are already doing it, those who are not doing it, when will you start? For those who are already doing some parts of it, The question for you is, what else are you going to add on to strengthen your morning routines? What else? One thing that you're going to add on. And for those who are already, having this fantastic routine every morning, you just need to just keep evaluating and, find what is working for you, what's not working for you, try to stay consistent. So that's fine. But for those who are not started, yeah. So, Vanita, you want to start by putting a date and time and planning for it ahead of time. Okay. But don't take so long to plan. So, here's the thing, right? So, I had a client who once said that, I'm going to do this and I'm going to start doing tennis. Now, then tennis, I'm going to learn tennis happened 2, 3, 4 weeks. Finally, I was like, okay, what's happening? When are you going to start? Like, let's get this. What's the problem? Problem is I don't have the tennis shoes. I've got to buy it. Okay. So then the next goal was go buy the tennis shoes. And then after that, the next goal was to get the bat. And then after that, the next goal was to sign up for classes. And then it was like, okay, you know what? I need tennis specific clothes. I just can't wear anything that's a uniform. So, you don't want to take 6 months preparing to start your goal. Okay. So prepare. That's what I mean by preparation. So ask yourself how you're going to also evaluate it. Okay. Now, moving on from that, these are some things I just want you to write this down. These are some things that for all those who are already doing stuff, what are some learning goals that you would like to add into your day? This has nothing to do with the morning routine, but I'm talking about in your day. This is to help with your productivity. This is to help with you scaling. What are some learning goals that you would like to have in place? What do we mean by learning goals? What's that one thing that you're learning? How are you improving your own, knowledge, your skill sets? And that learning does not have to be something that you learn for work. It could be something else that you're doing, like tennis. What are your self-care goals? Do you set self-care goals? And your self-care goal may be doing the morning routine, maybe doing that yoga, maybe getting that exercising. And then your productivity goals, what's that one thing that you want to improve when it comes to your productivity? Okay. So make a note of this and let's move on because we are going to do a quick, I'll come back to resources last. Okay. And I want to let's try it, right? Let's see what we're not going to do the whole thing. Obviously, I can't get you to exercise now, but I want you to try the morning routine with me. And we're going to take just 5+ minutes to do this. Okay. So ready, everyone? Pens down. First thing that I want you to do is we'll start with silence. I'm going to give it 1 minute starting now. We're going to take a minute for silence. Keep breathing, stay silent, clear all your thoughts, and just focus on your breath at this time. You can close your eyes. You can sit comfortably. Deep breaths. And 1 minute is up. Now, what I want you to do is take out your notepads. And I want you to write down 3 to 5 affirmations. And it could be anything from I'm grateful to I make money easily to I attract success easily, I'm lucky, anything. 3 to 5 affirmations for yourself. And when you're done, just hit the thumbs up button so I know you're done. Amazing, Summer. If you're writing it, that's great. Just write down for today as well while we're doing this exercise, if you would like to write. Okay. If you finish writing the affirmations, and you can spend more time on this, now let's move on to journaling. Okay. I'm going to give you a prompt, and I want you to write that in your notepads. And the prompt is, how am I feeling today? How are you feeling today? So how am I feeling today? You're going to write the response to that in your notepad. Or you want to take it a notch deeper. How am I feeling? How have I been feeling recently? If it's good, what's the reason for it? If it's not so good, why not? If it's blah, average, what can you do? Just journal through it. How am I feeling today? Or how have I been feeling recently?
Savitha, we have a raised hand. Maybe she wants to ask you something.
Yeah, I'll just go into that. Let me just finish this because I do the visualization next,
Sure.
and then I'll come to all the questions. Unless the question is about journaling.
I'm not sure. Vanita, if you can hear me, if it is about journaling, you can say yes, and I can
About
move
this
you to
question.
comment. Yeah. And if it is a general question, then okay. She's raised her hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then for those who finished writing that, I'm going to give you the second prompt. If I was living my dream life, what would it look like? So somebody had raised a question saying, why do we avoid getting specific? I'm putting that question up here in the chat box as well. The question is, if I was living my dream life, what would it look like? Okay. Most of you have written down the responses to that. Yeah. Okay. Let's do one thing. You can come back to these prompts, but this is what journaling would look like if you were using prompts. You can also use your own way. You can use it to write your to-do list and then go into what you're grateful for, and then you can write down your goals for the day. Okay. So now I want you to just close your eyes and follow my voice for the next few minutes. I won't take long, but I do want to do a visualization exercise with you, okay? Everybody put your pens down, close your eyes, take a deep breath and relax. I just want you to listen to my voice and imagine. Do not fall asleep, just relax, okay? Right now, as you begin by taking a deep breath, inhale and slowly exhale. One more time, inhale and exhale. Keep breathing deeply. I want to bring your attention to your life. I want you to think about your family. See your family. See them as you close your eyes. See their faces. See your loved ones. See your friends. The people that you like to hang around with, the people that you enjoy having in your life. Now, slowly, think about your job or your work. See yourself working. How does it feel as you think about your life, your family, your friends, your work? How does it make you feel? Take a moment to imagine. Now, think about a goal that you want to accomplish in the next year of your life, in the next 12 months of your life. It could be a relationship goal, a work-related goal, or a personal goal. Think about why this goal is important to you. How will achieving this goal add value to your life? Think about it and see the goal in your mind's eye. Now, I want you to imagine yourself going forward into the future. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, go forward. It is now 1 month in the future. You have started on the road to success. You're already doing the things that you need to do to move the needle forward. What decisions have you made? What actions have you taken? And how do you feel about it? We're still at the 1 month mark. Now, I want you to continue going forward. It is now 6 months in the future. You're much closer to this 12-month goal. You're starting to feel the benefits of all your efforts. At this time, you have put in a lot of effort to this goal. You're visualizing, so it's done. How does it feel to be closer to your goal? What emotions do you feel as you move closer to your goal? Just imagine that. See it. Slowly turning into a reality. Everything that you're visualizing, everything that you've dreamt of, it's starting to take shape. Now continue going forward. I want you to go into 1 year in the future, 12 months ahead. Now you have accomplished your goal. You have achieved success. What does this look like? See yourself. What do you look like? What are you doing? How do you feel? What's your energy like? What's your mindset like? Who are you with? What are people saying to you? And what are you saying to them? This is success. And how does success feel? Feels good. Keep your eyes closed. Now I want you to look back on your success. Look back on the process of achieving it. Look back on all your hard work and effort. How did you reach your goal? Step by step. What were the little things you did day by day to achieve success? What did you do at work? Or if it was a relationship goal, what did you do in your relationships? What did you do inwardly with your mindset to achieve success? Take a moment. Think of all the steps that you took to accomplish your goal. And when you're ready, take a deep breath, relax, smile, open your eyes, and come back into the room. And with that, here are some resources that I'm sharing. I wish I had a lot more time with you. And I hope I've been able to give you a lot of value. I would like you to screenshot this. I personally love the 6-phase meditation by Vishen Lakiani. It's on YouTube. You can just get it on YouTube. You can listen to it, download it, listen to it. It walks you through all the steps of meditation, visualization, affirmations, forgiveness, and imagining you're doing your future visioning as well. So try it. It may be for you. It may not be for you. Here are my book recommendations. 5 a.m. Club is by Robin Sharma. But you can start with Hal Elrod, Miracle Mornings. Parents can try Miracle Mornings for Parents. And of course, James Clear. And then there are some journals that you can buy. You don't need a journal. You can write in any notepad. Okay, if you screenshot this, we'll go towards the next message that I have for you. Raise your standards. How you do one thing is how you will do everything, right? And it is true. Everything has a ripple effect. So raise your standards. You deserve to be living your best life. You deserve the success that you desire. It is meant for you. It is here for you. The universe is waiting for you. But what are you waiting for? The world is ready. You need to step up to the plate and take this. It's yours for the taking. You've just got to choose. You've just got to decide. So the world is waiting for the impact that you are going to make. Just you and only you are going to make on us. So I wish you all the very best with your morning routines. And with that, let's go into Q&A. I'm happy to answer any questions. I can go into the chat box if you put it there.
Thank you, Savitha. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. I think a lot of takeaways in today's session. And while we are moving to Q&A, I would also like to launch a feedback poll to all our audience and understand what do they feel about this particular session and what do they want us to do going forward in the upcoming weeks in terms of topics. So everyone, the poll is now launched. Please take a moment and give in your amazing feedback. It will help us design, curate content as per your taste and needs. And now we can move to the Q&A. Yeah. And I would request anyone who may have a question to ask to Savitha, please raise your hand. I will move you to the panel and you can talk to Savitha directly. Or you can also put your questions in the chat box and we can pick it up from there and answer any of your questions. Or if somebody has to say something about the session, you can also sort of raise your hand. Your feedback matters to us a lot. So you can come live and speak a few words about how did you feel.
I will answer Vivek's question. He had shared a question a while ago. Shall I answer that?
Yes, Savitha, please go
Okay.
ahead. Yeah.
So Vivek's question is, why do we avoid getting specific with our goals and purpose? Simple answer, you shouldn't. Get specific, because if, it's like we say the universe is here to support us. Well, how does manifestation work? When you ask for anything, right, we say get specific. Identify what is it that you want. Why you may be avoiding it is some inner work that you may have to do, and it may lie with you don't think in yourself that if you get specific, it's going to come true. So, what you want to evaluate is your own self belief and your own belief in that goal. Most of us know what we want. And sometimes, and here's a question I ask every client that I'm working with when we do our one-to-one coaching. I ask them, what do you want? What's your dream? And most people struggle to answer that, either because we are conditioned to not say it out loud, it may not come true, okay, which isn't true, which doesn't make sense, or we have our limiting beliefs, okay, because you're like, I don't know if it will happen, I don't want to put it out there. So it all boils down to self-belief and the inner work. So Vivek, maybe spend some time and ask yourself, like, really, why do you not want to get specific with yourself? With yourself, you don't need to share it with the world, but with yourself, get specific, ask for everything that you desire. It's like I said, your mind does not know what is possible and what is not possible. Don't worry about the how, know your what is. And then they say, there's a saying, right? Magic, boldness is always followed by magic, because when you decide and when you say, this is what I want, the universe works to give it to you. And how? It's the law of, there is science behind it. So take some time, evaluate why not. It could be belief that you don't believe it may actually come true sometimes. I hope that answers your question.
Also, we have a couple of questions in the chat,
Sure.
Savitha. So Nagaraju is asking, what is the definition of success?
Your definition of success is true only for you. You're the person who can decide it. My definition of success may be very different from everybody else's, right? My definition of success may be, I want the best car, fancy holidays, best clothes, maybe. But your definition of success may be that you just want to live a peaceful life. You don't want drama in your life. So you get to decide what success means to you, no one else. Chandrasekhar, I was expecting a question from you. How does one become really wise? I'm not sure I can answer that, because how does one become wise? If you first is you have to decide that I want to learn and a lot, and you have to keep your mind open. And the second is to actually take action to keep learning. And learning may not necessarily be only about reading, although you should read. Warren Buffett still spends hours till today reading a lot. The second is learning can happen by either, of course, books, from other people's experience, from the conversations that you have. So are you opening yourself up to that? Are you putting yourself in different environments? Are you allowing your mind to be curious? Are you allowing yourself to try it out, give everything a shot and see what comes up? Willing to experience. I think those are some qualities that will help you probably become wise. But yeah, I think that's the only answer I have. How does the session help in that aspect? I think when we say do the reading, do the journaling, when you think about, when you spend some time with yourself, when you spend some time questioning, when you spend yourself some time asking yourself what's next for you, where do you what do you need to do for you to be able to live your best life? I think that's the time that morning routines really help, because that time that you take out, morning or evening, 1 hour for yourself, is really important for reflection. And they say reflection is the key to success. So I hope that putting in this 1 hour for yourself, where you're just spending time reading, thinking, journaling, may help you. Okay, moving on to the next question.
Pratigya has a question for you, Savitha. Is how to
Okay.
declutter our mind when a lot is going on in the head.
Okay, how to declutter our mind. I would use journaling for that. If there's a lot going down, first do a download, right? Download it somewhere where you can put all the data down and then say, hey, this is not great data. This is good data. I need to spend some. This needs more time to think. This needs something to be processed right now. So I think start with doing a download, doing a brain dump onto a page, onto papers, and then kind of say, you may have 20 things which are very important that you think is very important for you to declutter, but I think you should start with 1, 2, and 3, and then you should move on. So have a process for it. This is where engineering processes really help. So break it down by first putting it all down to understand what is going on. Take the time to figure it out. So what's the, with the first thing with problem is, what's your problem statement? And then you kind of put down what you're going to focus on, and then put down what action steps you're going to take. I mean, from whatever information, that's something that I could share. Of course, if I spend more time to find out what's going on, I would be able to give you more advice. How do you know you're successful? Once you have, Abin, I'm reading your question. Once you have achieved many things in life, do you think it's success or it's just a start? Again, you decide at what point you think you're going to be successful. But here's the thing, right? Very few people seem to sit back once they've achieved success, because being successful is getting to success is a journey, right? But after that, you want to hold on to it as well, which means that you need to be able to sustain, which takes extra skill. So I think you should just decide at what point you think you have received or reached a level of success. And if you think it's a start, it's a start. Like Gary Vee says, he's going to keep going. He doesn't think that he needs to stop, or he's achieved a certain amount of success. Okay, I think we've come to the end of questions. Do you have any other questions?
Yes. So we have 3 more minutes before we close the session. So request the audience to ask questions and get them answered.
Yeah. Chandrasekhar, my podcast you can find on any podcasting platform. We are on 16 plus platforms right now, including Spotify. It's called the Success with Savitha podcast. Okay, here you go. This is how you can find me. I'm going to share this. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. And you can find me. You can email me. My podcast is called Success with Savitha. Gayatri, how to wake up early consistently. I think just that decision, you have to make the decision that I need to do this. So here's something that, when you start, let's say you've not been fit for a while. I'll use fitness as a example. When you've not exercised, let's say for 2-3 years, and then you decide that, okay, I'm going to get fit. I think the first goals for you would be to be able to show up every day. Let's say you sign up to the gym, to show up every day to the gym. And then I think your second goal will also be, or it would be the same goal, first goal, which is to show up and to not have injuries. Because you know that if you have injuries, you're going to derail yourself. Now you will have to miss out your exercise again. So I think that's the first goal. Then once you feel like you've gathered a little more strength, you've become stronger, you're showing up more often. Maybe initially you're going twice a week, and then can you go to 3 times a week, then can you go to 4 times a week. So consistency does not mean that you do it every day, even when it's not working for you, but can you increase the intensity and slowly, and it's a step-by-step thing. We always say, very few people are able to do the 0 to 100, right, and maintain it and sustain it. So what you want to do is to go gradually. You want to climb Mount Everest. Even when you climb Mount Everest, and that's a great example, you don't get to go hit base camp, and then from base camp, you don't take off all the way right to the top, right? What happens? You go to the first level, then you come back to base camp. Then you go to the second level, and then you come back, because you're acclimatizing at each level. And so that's how you want to look at your consistency in anything. You go, you act. And when you look at, recently I spoke to someone who was talking about how the heart beats. The heart contracts, expands, and then contracts. everything in nature constantly resets. You can't just be expanding. Your heart would burst, right? So you want to contract. So the same thing with consistency. I hope that helps. Twitter, I'm not on Twitter.
Okay, I think that is the end of the Q&A.
Yeah.
So I would like to take a moment again and thank Savitha for taking us through the journey of morning routine. And I personally learned a lot of new things that I'm going to implement starting tomorrow. So I hope all the audience, we have an amazing audience today. Also, all the audience have had a lot to learn from this particular session. And I hope whatever your goals are, you're going to build a morning routine and get them and reach all your goals. We hope and wish that happens with you very soon. And thank you so much, Savitha. Thanks for taking us through a wonderful session. With any thoughts?
Thank you for having me. I think the audience was really amazing. I love the questions. I love when they put you on the spot. So I think a very engaging audience, which is always good for any host. So thank you. It's been a joy. Connect, stay in touch, find me on social. And Shiva, thank you for having me today. It's been an honor.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for joining in. That's the end of the session today. We'll meet again next Friday with an upcoming session, and you will get to know about the session very soon. Thank you so much. Thank you, Savitha.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye. Have a great week ahead.